you want to start filling your backpack with more of this rare loot spawns, then start hitting woods. Sunken Village has so many of these gold spawns, including Bitcoins, GB coins, bronze lions, cat figurines. Start hitting this. I'm going to show you some of those secret spots along the Sunken Village, USEC Camp. This is going to be for veteran players as well as beginning players to help you make more money in woods. Come on in, let's get to it. This guy is going to be going over the northern part of the map, and depending on spawn, there are quite a few spawns on this side of the map in which you can divert this initial plan, focusing on all of the loot within the abandoned village, some of the USEC spawns and bridge overlook, as well as finishing up on the Uber or the bridge extract. This can be a way to get out quickly, but depending if you spawn on this side of the map and want to work up, go all the way around, or all the way down in outskirts and work up this way. Both are able depending on spawn. I always suggest that you try to work with whatever spawn you have. Don't try to force spawning all the way down here and try to make it up there, because by the time you get there, most of that loot is probably gone. Here we go. Alright, here we got the USEC spawn. Do be careful of those landmines around it. But as you see, we're near the road. The first thing you should always check is on top of the USEC spawn. This rock has a lot of good gun attachments that can go there, including an M4 spawn. Typically you're going to get ammo and weapon attachments, including silencers and barrels and muzzles. Next we're going into USEC spawn. Here's quite a few of the options for what is here if you pause. But this is going to include quite a few different weapons crates, loose ammo spawns, and here is a technical supply crate, a weapon. Your valuables are going to be under this bunk. Here's a raven, for example. Provisions like sugar are going to be on top. Weapons boxes, as well as an MP5 spawn in rare gold spawn. Sometimes you get bitcoins there. Here's another overview of kind of how this USEC Med spawn. It's going to include some weapon spawns over here, so we're going to get to find another MP5 spawn as well as attachments and a weapons box right there. It's also going to have some loose gasoline. There's different technical supply crates, and here's going to be some attachments. You can also go to MP4 over on the left there on that bunk. Another weapons attachment. Here's going to be a provisions, but here's really where a lot of the high tier medical supplies, so including ophthalmoscopes, different painkillers, but make sure to look all over this stretcher, because you can get a lot of rare medical loot right there. Then we're going to move over to a cache. It's going to be right behind this bush near the rock. Then we're going to go on to Scav bunker. Most of the good loot is going to be inside of the bunker, but on top is going to be different wooden crates and grenade box. You can find some loose ammo as well into this place. Be careful, there are different scavs that spawn here, so you can make some noise if you have to. That might attract other PMCs. Here's some loose loot. Down in the bunker, there's going to be a sports bag right here. We're checking out toolboxes. There's also going to be on the ground around this is going to have different options. So these little servers will have little technical supplies that you can find around there, as well as this like little tool bin. Inside will be these cots, including a sports bag, but these beddings typically will spawn your gold spawns, as well as some provisions will be on those tables. Next we're going to Scav bridge. This does spawn lagoons as well as some supplies, so be careful. If you pause right here, it's going to be an overview, but it does have a lot of provisions as well as wooden crates. Inside of this van can be an armor spawn. Here's going to be a provision spawn. But up in these little sheds, it's going to be different spawns, including sugars and moonshines, a sports bag, kvases. Then we go over to, I think one of the more rare ones is going to be this bed. It's got a couple of weapons crates, including technical supply, but under this bed is going to be your gold spawn. For here, example here was a raven. Just going to make sure you check all of these. So here's another sugar. It's different provision type spawns. A wooden box is going to be right here. Then we're going to move on to another spawn point, but it's going to be the lake right behind the abandoned Sunken Village. If you run up to this cabin, inside of the grass is going to be your gold spawn. There's also a cache that's worth hitting right over here. You're going to jump up on top of this rock. Don't forget about hitting this canoe. It can also have some gold spawns there, but most of your loot's going to be inside of this church around the sides, so you're typically going to get some gold spawns. Then you can run across this water. There's going to be a little boat right there. Inside of that boat shack does have some actual gold spawns. I haven't found some recently, but they are there. Then we're going to head over to this one, a lot of provision spawns. Any of these vodkas can eventually be moonshines, but you also can find loose ammo and different provisions. This boat over here is going to have a gold spawn as well inside of there. The next log cabin, you can check over on the immediate left. For example, I find a horse over here, but all of these little like bushy spots can be gold spawns for the rare loot. Then we're going to move on to the marked circle. This can have a pretty high tier loot. For example, we have the rooster as well as the bronze lion, but I found GB coins as well as gold chains around here. Make sure to thoroughly check. Sometimes they can be pretty high up in the grass. If nothing is spawned here, that typically means something is spawned somewhere else. They don't always spawn every time. This house does have a lot of provisions inside of it, but also a gold tier. So here's another vodka, so that could have been a moonshine. Inside of this little desk, sometimes can spawn some rare spawns. And then on top of this cot is going to be some of those loose ammo type of spawns you can get. We're going to run up backwards, kind of towards this other one. Overlooking, on top of this bed can spawn some stuff as well. Then we're going to move on to our next cabin. Inside of this tent is typically where you're going to find. Pretty much all the tents in woods do have some odds of spawning those. But then we're going to kind of just head on out towards Uber. I kind of like to I'm going to speed this up a little bit so we don't have to get too much of this running simulation. But I kind of call this Helm's Deep. There is a cache up here. So if you just go past the road and then take an immediate right and then head on up, you can actually just hit a cache on the way. So it's right up here next to this rock. I think this one's pretty easy to find because it's that kind of round bucket based one. Then we're going to move on towards Uber. There's another cache you can hit on your way as well as a different spawn point. So this whole thing could be done in reverse. But we're going to hit that cache. You can find it. It's kind of the last bush that's going to be overlooking this Uber. It's right over here in a kind of hidden branch-based one, so you can kind of check it out. You'll be able to find it as well while you're waiting. Then we're going to head on out. You could loot what I call Uberville. There's a lot of good loot there. But assuming you might have a full backpack, just best to get out and collect your rubles. So thanks for watching.